We are live.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the East Hampton Town Architectural Review Board. Today's date is October 8th, 2020. I'd like to open our video conference meeting with the acceptance of our minutes from our last meeting, which was, give me a date. I don't have a date. Somebody help me. What was the date for the last meeting?
September.
The 24th of September? Yes,
That's
okay.
right.
Does anybody have any questions, comments about the minutes? If not, I'd like to get an approval by everyone saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay. So we're going to open the meeting for change to commercial 51 South Edgemere LLC, tax map number 300-52-1-1.2, 51 South Edgemere Street in Montauk. Michael, is there anyone on the line for this application? Maybe Deborah?
Yes, I can unmute that right now.
Great, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, board members. This is Deborah Choron.
You there?
Hi, Deborah. Welcome. So at our last meeting, we went through all of the changes to this commercial property, which is a restaurant and a hotel on Fort Pond in Montauk. And the only thing that was left open was the color of the paint that they wanted to paint the exterior doors that face South Edgemere for the resort guest rooms only. And originally they were talking about a mint green. The board had some concern about that, and we asked them if they could give us alternatives. And they submitted more into the blue family, these two colors, the Stillwater, which is a paler grayed off blue, and a more richer blue, the blue Danube, which has a little bit more yellowish green to it. What they also submitted was the roof, which is a standing seam metal roof. And Derek, if you can go to the two pictures that I submitted, I want to just make a comment about the roofing, because one of the board members mentioned that the mint green be, the alternative to the mint green be something that worked more with the color of the roofing. So when I was there, this was mid-afternoon, and what you can see is, depending on the way the sunlight is hitting the roof in the shade, so let's say either early morning or late afternoon, the roof is going to appear to be more in a cooler blue tone. But when the light is hitting it, it's more in a sort of, coppery, dulled off coppery brown color. So I don't think you can really go by the one photograph of the roof that was submitted with the colors. I think the colors are nice enough, and I want to show, I had this great situation happen when I was there. The next picture, Derek, that there was a bicycle positioned right near where one of the doors. Now this door is going to be swapped out for a more solid door, and then the upper area will have a wider light coming through than these four horizontal, smaller divided lights. But even though that blue is not the same color as the Danube or the Stillwater, I think what it does is it shows you how the blue's going to pop against the wood and the doors, which I think looks kind of nice. So, Deb, can you give us an idea of what the owner and the group that's pulling all this renovation together, where they are with regards to their choice of color?
Sure.
Do they have a
I
preference?
believe that Stephen Nielsen. So I believe that Stephen Nielsen, the architect and designer, is also calling in, but I know that at this point the applicant has taken your comments under advisement and completely moved away from the light mint green. So that is withdrawn right now. They definitely appreciated the feedback and agree that blue tone would be preferable to match that roof. So I think Stephen can probably better articulate the, design and the entire concept of that. I'm not sure if he's here on the line with us.
Chair, I actually see that caller.
Okay.
If you'd like
Michael,
me
can
to,
you check if Stephen's on?
he
I'm
is.
sorry, what?
He is, and I can unmute that now.
Great, okay.
Hi, Stephen here.
Hi, Stephen.
First,
Were you able to hear
Hi.
our opening conversation with regards to the colors and the roofing?
I was. I'm tuned in on channel 22, so I'm catching it all. And yet, so first, thank you for the great discussion last time. I thought that was really productive. And as Deborah mentioned, you asked us to consider that mint green color on the parking lot side of the building along South Edgemere Street. So we took those comments under advisement and looked at the roof tone, which was also mentioned. And I think and found that the blues and the grays are actually a lot. We're both in keeping with the roof color tones, and also do happen to play into some of the colors we're going to be using on the interior. It doesn't really affect the exterior here, but we are using some blues on some of the upholstery and things. So that tone made a lot of sense for us. Our instinct was to our primary color choice here would be the blue Danube, which I think is a little bolder. The still water's nearly gray, but as you said, the color of the roof itself does change throughout the day, and it's also aged in a natural material, so it's constantly changing a little bit. I also wanted to briefly correct a misstatement that I made in the last meeting. I was asked whether the restaurant's windows along Fort Pond, the windows specifically in the restaurant, were going to increase in size, and I had responded that they were staying exactly the same overall dimensions. After the meeting, I realized that they actually are slightly increasing because we're raising the head to align with the bottom of the fascia, and we've aligned that fascia to the front of the building, so that fascia line actually goes up a few inches, which makes those windows a little bit higher. I wanted to correct the record on that.
Okay. How much bigger are they? Is it a few inches or is it a larger amount of space?
It's a few inches. It goes up about 8 inches from where it is now. It's the same look. It's still we're still going up to the bottom of the fascia, but we're aligning that fascia with the post and beam from the front, so it's a one consistent line all the way through. So they're getting a little bit higher. They're not getting any lower, so that datum stays the same. It's what we're showing in the elevations and renderings.
I'm having you're breaking up a little bit for me, but everyone on the board thinks that it's my computer, that it's not you. So I'm just going to ask you to repeat that again, what you just said. So the size of the windows in the plans reflect what we're going to have.
That's correct, yes. I had just said, when asked, that they were going to be identically the same exterior dimensions, outside dimensions. I just wanted to clarify that for the record, that as shown in the drawings, they're actually a little bit taller than they are in the existing
So they are going to be a little bit bigger, but what we have in the plans reflect what is actually going to be built, correct?
Correct, yes, correct.
Okay, all right, okay. Does anybody have any questions, Peter, about the windows?
Well, when I look at the existing elevation and the proposed elevation, the height of the existing windows look like they're at the height of the soffit. I don't know how you could make it any higher.
So the soffit is going up a little bit. See on that front rendering, that soffit line, we're continuing the soffit line.
So you're
currently
raising
just in the back. Correct, without raising the height of the overall roof. So we're just making the soffit a little bit shorter and raising it up so that it aligns with the timbers in the front.
Okay, I
I'm really trying to
understand.
kind of emphasize that line from the timbers. Yep. So that way it connects the front of the restaurant with the back of the restaurant. As you know, this building seems to have had like a lot of different iterations and additions on it over the years. And, you know, I think this kind of pulls it together. So it's an important architectural move, I think, to have the building read as one building and one design.
So you're just raising the top, right? Because it
Exactly.
looks, it could just be a visual deception. It looks like the sill of the windows are lower.
Right, it is not. The sill is staying the same. Which
Okay.
happens to tie in with the banquette height, so those are staying the same.
All right.
Okay. Let's go back to the color
so-
then, unless anybody else has anything
Yeah.
with regards to the window. Esperanza sent me, when I received, first of all, thank you very much for giving each board member a file with the window, with the colors, as well as, the renderings of what the colors would somewhat look like on the doors. However, because this is a computer-generated rendering, we don't really actually see the actual tone of the color. Esperanza made a comment that her son's room is painted in the blue Danube, and it doesn't have that more, it has like a deeper tone to it, right, Esperanza, in real life?
Yeah, and I think Stephen just said it. I mean, it is a very striking, deep, deep blue. And I'm just looking at this again, and I was really inclined to think that Stillwater was sort of a more, I don't know, compatible color, but I don't know. I think, everyone will decide later. I just thought in the renderings, the blue Danube seemed like the building itself is really dark now with the new stain, and then you're going to have this very deep blue on the doors. Maybe they'll just recede, and that's okay. I don't know if that's what they want the effect to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. The dark stain with the darker blue, in the right light, the dark blue almost looks, almost a dark, almost like black in the shadow, because it kind of soaks up the light. Whereas the Stillwater is a little more toned to a little more reflective. Even in the shadow there, you can still see some expression of color. So, I guess both of the tones are colors we've incorporated throughout the rest of the restaurant. So they both kind of work within our color palette. So we're excited about either one. I think the blue Danube just has a little bit more of a intention to it, because it's a little more saturated as a color. But really both are acceptable to us, I think.
I agree with Esperanza. I think the blue Danube is a very dark, right, color, and particularly when it's recessed, right? This is facing east, so I think
Yes.
it'll be quite dark, right?
Right, and the paneling is dark as well. Right.
Yep. Yeah, the reality is, to your point, the reality is that this particular image was taken in the morning. That's morning sun, so you're not going to have direct sun with the eaves overhead. You're very rarely going to have direct sun actually hitting these doors and lighting them up. So it's a really good point about that.
Well, and I also think that, for the customer, that the lighter door, I think, would help at nighttime to be able to see the door better, that it wouldn't sort of fade with a darker trend. I like both the colors, but I think the lighter one, even though it is paler, It's not a very pale blue. It's a medium blue.
Okay.
Anybody else on the board have any comments, their preference at this point?
I'm fine with either one. I would let the applicant decide.
I'm having such a hard time hearing everybody. I don't know what to do. Diane, do you have any
They're willing-
comments?
I think if they're willing to use the still watercolor on the doors and everybody's comfortable with that.
Okay.
I mean, they seem willing.
One thing also, Stephen, you could go ahead because it's paint, it's not like it's a baked on enamel or anything on the door, that if you find once you paint it, that it's too light, you know, and that you would prefer to go something deeper, you can always come back to us and, you know, with a, you know, a photograph to say that you think you'd like to go a little bit darker too. You know, it's not that, you know, big of a deal.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and
it's
put
just
still
paint.
water in for the doors that face Edgemere in the resolution, Derek, and we'll move forward with approving this, okay? So I'd like to make a
Fantastic,
motion
thank
to
you.
approve the still water color. Can I get a second on that, Peter?
Second,
All in favor, Esperanza?
Aye. Aye.
I can't, something's going on, so I can't even hear Esperanza. And
Yeah, you're
Diane?
breaking up.
Aye.
Chip?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Stephen.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next, under fences, walls, and berms, 15 WSR LLC, tax map number 300-197-6-2815 Wayne Scott Road in Wayne Scott.
Should I go ahead?
Esperanza, yeah, please. Can you read into the what the application is for?
Yes, this is an application for a driveway entry gate with a keypad, which has been before us previously and is now being brought before us with a new design at a new height, which is on the screen now. The height will be 5 feet with the posts at 5 feet 4 inches. The columns will now be 11 by 11 inches rather than the original 24 by 24. And there will be 6-inch gaps between 5-inch slats. The color of the gate is to be Cape Cod gray and the columns will be white AZEK. And I'm not sure if Katie Ozeki is on the line.
I believe, Chair, I do have that caller on the line. I can unmute right now.
Okay.
Hello,
So-
caller.
Hi, Betsy. Hey.
Hey, Katie.
Hi, Katie, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Good, and you?
Okay.
So how
So
does
Esperanza,
everyone feel about this? You know, we have asked Katie to come back with this new proposal because Wainscott Stone Road is really devoid of any driveway gates. It's a very lovely, if trafficked road in Wainscott. But there really aren't any driveway gates of any magnitude. And the only one that is there is the one right opposite this driveway, which is actually at 4 feet. It has taller columns, but it is at 4 feet. So this was why we asked Katie to come back with a new design. That's the driveway opposite.
and how do you feel about the new design, Esperanza?
I think it's a huge improvement. I mean, I wish there were no driveway gate, but I think this is much better. I would prefer 4 feet always. But I'll leave it to the board.
Peter Gumpel, do you have any comments with regards to this?
Well, I don't quite like the idea of having the gate in gray and the columns in white. I would think I'd like it better if it were all one color.
Well, I think what we were trying to do was not to have like, big, white gates stand out more than gates that are either natural cedar.
Cape Cod gray, both
Yeah.
the columns and.
I think it's very hard to put a dark color over AZAC. Most painters tell me it peels off. You have to put a light color on it.
It will chip, but it's not impossible.
No, it's not.
But let me ask, Katie, let me ask you this. Are they painting this Cape Cod gray or is the AZAC in Cape Cod gray?
AZAC's white.
So the AZAC is white as natural. And then the gate was going to be in wood, and they were going to paint that. That was what they were going to do.
I see. Okay. All right. So it's all right. I see. So it's not that the gate itself is AZAC. Okay. And
Well, I think that they've made quite a compromise from what was originally presented. I mean, I would tend to go along with this. I mean, its intentions look good.
Betsy, what do you think?
Betsy's MIA.
well, no, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I agree that, we've come a long way. I agree with Chip's comments as well as Peter's with regards to the white posts with I'm like a little confused why they wouldn't do the posts in the same materials that they're doing the gate and painted all the gray. And I would then also ask for them to reduce the height of the posts a little bit. Katie, this is what's going on. We're really starting to feel that there's so many gates going up, and it's creating a situation where it doesn't feel like we're maintaining the rural character of this town with all these gates. 4-foot gates are, what everyone is allowed to have. Anything over that, we really are being directed that unless there's a reason why they have to have something higher than 4 feet, we're reluctant to continue to approve, 5-6-foot gates. We would really hope to keep them lower. We think they're more friendly. A 4-foot gate and a 5-foot gate is not going to keep deer out. So it's a matter of if they feel they want to enclose the driveway area so people can't pull in. I'm still, wanting this to be, because of the fact that where it is, that it's, on a very tree-lined road. The only gate that is evidenced from me driving down that street is the one directly across, which is much lower. I'm still on the fence about literally about approving this gate in that location.
Okay.
It's
Would
right.
it
It's
make a
very
difference
close
if
to
they
the
decided to
road.
go all gray?
Can you
I
repeat
think
that,
it would
Katie?
help, and if they would reduce the post to match the height of the gate, I would feel a little bit better about all of that.
Okay.
Esperanza?
I'm sorry, I missed what Katie said.
if they were to make the posts and the gate both be gray, and then to make the max would be 5 feet for the posts as well as the gate itself.
Yeah, I suppose that would be the ultimate compromise. I agree with Betsy. I'm also really hesitant to approve yet another driveway gate, and especially at this location. But
Chip or Diane, do you have any input on this?
I think your suggestion, Betsy, is fine. Everything's gray, everything's 5 feet. I have no problem with that.
Okay. And Katie, how far is it from the roadway?
It is about 34 feet. Actually, it's 30, almost 36.
I'm sorry, did you say 30 feet?
36.
Okay. All right, because based on that, I'm unless anybody has any problem with it, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the gate as presented, with the exceptions that the.
Right. Could you verify the height of the gate and the height of the post?
Oh God, I can't hear anybody.
I'm looking at the drawing, and it doesn't.
Yes, 5 feet.
It doesn't look like there's 5 inches below is the gate 5 feet 5 off the grade?
No, I believe it's 5 feet from the grade, right?
Yeah, from the grade, according to this measurement.
Right.
No, right. There's 5 inches, right, below the gate. If you look at the 5-foot dimension, it's not down to grade.
Yeah.
I think it won't be more than 5 feet. I can resubmit the gate where it goes all the way down, but it's not supposed. The max for this one that we handed in was 5 feet 4 inches, and I understand that we'll cut that to 5 feet so that nothing is more than 5 feet.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to approve
Betsy,
the
you want me to
design
make
of
the
the gate. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I am having
Take it
such a hard time hearing anyone that I'm so confused. I'm sorry. Thank you, Esperanza.
It's okay.
Please do.
All right. I make a motion to approve this application with the modification of the posts being at 5 feet, which would be the same maximum height of the gate, and the entire gate being painted Cape Cod gray.
Gate and posts.
And the entire mechanism, yes, gate and posts. Does that cover it?
I think so.
Okay. So do I have a second?
Second.
Can I get a second on that, Chip?
Yes.
All in favor, I'm sorry, Peter
Aye.
and Diane
Yes,
and Betsy, aye. Okay, Katie, you're good to go with this one. Thank you for going back and forth with us on this.
Excuse me, Chair. May I make a recommendation?
Katie, do you have anything else on the agenda?
Excuse me, Betsy.
Oh,
can
I have an extension of time. Yes.
Yeah.
Jason has something.
Betsy, when you're ready, I have a recommendation to fix your audio concern, but go ahead with the
Michael?
meeting until then. Can you hear me?
No, we could do it real quick if we could do it now.
You should simply call in to the phone number and listen that way. Don't listen anymore through Zoom. Leave Zoom open so we can see you, but call in on your phone. You'll hear everyone clean that way.
Okay, can you give me that number, please?
Sure. 351 888 6331. I'll open you up as soon as you call in.
I can hear you loud and clear, Mike. I just wanted to tell you, I can hear you very clearly. I just can't hear the board members.
All right, well, just to take everything out of it, and don't listen to Zoom, and mute your mic on Zoom so you're only communicating through the phone.
Okay, well, let me call first.
Sure.
Here. Hold on, Katie, I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem. Take your time.
Okay, I see you calling in now, so mute the microphone on the Zoom.
I see you calling in now.
Thank you. And you're now available on the phone call. You have to pick the phone up and... Is it on speakerphone? Because we're not hearing you at all.
We can't hear you.
Betsy, if you can hear me, can you pick the phone up to your ear and talk? Is your phone muted? I don't hear you at all, but your line is open. Nothing. I don't hear you at all, but...
Unmute my... Muted.
What is that?
All right. Can you hear me?
We're back through the Zoom
Yes.
call. Yes, it's the same as it was. For some reason, we couldn't hear
Yeah.
you through that.
All right, let's just keep going. I'll do the best I can because this is really dragging the meeting out. Okay, Katie's got an extension of time, so I would like to jump to that for her, please. That's past the fences, Walsenburg, extension of time, Meg Ron Realty LLC, tax map number 300-49-3-1645 South Euclid Avenue in Montauk. This is an application that was before us, I believe, in 2008 for the approval of a new building at 43 South Euclid, and it was approved, and they never built the building. It came back in front of us last September, the meeting of the 26th, 2019, for an extension of time. It was approved. The owner did not proceed to start the build out on this, and they're looking for another extension of time. The buildings are lovely. They have a Carl Richter arts and crafts Tudor-esque style to them. The building next to it that was built as well as Fort Pond native plants that is similar in the back are all in keeping with the area. So I don't see any reason not to extend the extension of time once again. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
No.
What kind of
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
I'm
just
sorry, what?
right. What kind of a time frame are they looking at? Are they planning on building this in the near future?
Yes, Peter, they currently have an application into the building department. It was in there since around March, and then with COVID, everything kind of was paused. And the only thing we're waiting on right now is the energy code from the state, and then now everything's expired, so we're going in front of ARB, Planning Board, and Zoning Board this month. But they would like to break ground as soon as possible.
So this doesn't have planning approval yet?
It does. It does. It's just we need an extension of time.
Okay.
It is waiting for a building permit, I believe, correct?
Correct.
Is that okay, Peter?
Yeah,
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the extension of time for 45 South Euclid Avenue in Montauk. Can I get a second on that, Peter?
second,
All in favor, Chip?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Esperanza?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we're good to go. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, Katie.
You too. Okay, going back to fences, walls, and berms, Christopher R. Miller, tax map number 300-113-2-6.3, 485 Hants Creek Road in East Hampton, and that's Diane Benson.
Yes. This is an application proposing a concrete retaining wall that is going to encircle a pool and landscape. The property has a 25-foot grade change on it. The concrete wall is to be made of 4,000 PSI concrete. And as you can see from the survey, that it is totally not visible from Hants Creek Road. There's a large scenic easement, and then there's a large front yard that is not open. It's very treed. It's very well kept with a sort of woodsy attitude. So all of the work that's being proposed is behind the facade of the house, mostly behind the facade of the house, and not visible. I questioned the 9-foot wall to Mr. Miller, and he was very, very accommodating to explain that it only will be 9 feet where it meets the deck of the house. And in this area, which is like the north, I don't know what it is there where it meets the deck of the house, and that it will gradually ease itself down to 3 or 4 feet. I think that Mr. Miller is on the phone here. Is that correct?
Yes, I do have that caller on the phone I can bring in.
Yes, and perhaps he would like to explain in a little more detail his intentions, because I know that it is a very big clearing. And Derek, I have some photographs of the space and the place and what exists now.
So, Chair, if you
Okay,
like, I can unmute Mr. Miller right now.
Okay, what you're seeing now, I'm standing in front of the garage. All of this is to take place behind the garage. I'm standing in front of the garage, so you see the driveway, you see the treed lawn, and then the scenic easement. So this is what's taking place, is all behind us. Derek, next pictures, please. Okay, well, so this is a serious endeavor, as you can see by this, and I have 3 or 4 pictures. Yeah, I love this little stone wall, but I have a feeling that that doesn't have anything to do with this concrete wall. Am I correct, Chris Miller?
Diane, yes, that's correct. The stone wall is just a small retaining wall. We have a accessory structure going in front of that, which we are building concrete. Can you hear me?
Okay, you can see the very steep grade change on the property.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. If you'd like, if you look at the survey, the idea is that the concrete retaining wall would start level with the back porch of the home. The background information is that we're proposing to install a pool in the back area. The height of the pool will be roughly 1 foot above the grade of the porch. Therefore, we'll start the concrete wall at grade with the porch. From there to the proposed set of stairs on the concrete wall, it'll rise 18 inches. So that's 1 foot to meet elevation of the pool and then an additional 6 inches above elevation of the pool for landscape purposes, things of that nature. Once we reach that 6 inches above grade of the finished elevation of the pool, that wall will continue level across back of the garage and around as seen. The end of the wall on the roughly northwest side will be approximately 16 feet off the property line, allowing for access for equipment and things like that to back off landscaping and maintenance purposes.
I think it would be very helpful if there were some sort of elevation or illustration.
I agree. I was just thinking the same thing, that it's almost impossible for me to visualize this. And my question is, why are we what's the purpose behind the 9-foot cement wall? Number one. And number two, I have a couple questions for David, our attorney. David, because if I'm not mistaken, I heard Mr. Miller say that the pool is going to be raised a foot above grade. So does that need to have our approval as well, because it's not flat with the topography?
I'd have to look into that and get back to you, Chair. Or if you give me a few minutes, I could ask someone, but
Okay. Because normally the tennis courts and pools, if they're, to grade with the land, it doesn't come under ARB approval, but anything above grade, that's a structure would. So that's what I was asking David. And then I guess my question is, why would you want a 9-foot wall? And then David, my other question is, what is the maximum that we could even approve in a back? Isn't it 8 feet?
That's my understanding, Chair, is that it's 8 feet in the side and backyard. Is the maximum height.
9 foot, the 9 foot of the wall, that is only in a localized area at the low point of the property. Everywhere else will be, because that's where it's 9 feet above existing grade. Other places on the, for example, starting at the corner of the porch, that's only about 2 feet above grade. The highest point is on the northwest corner back by the garage. Then it goes to roughly 6 to 7 feet above grade, 6 feet, and tapers down towards the end on the northwest property line, would be roughly 3 to 4, maybe 5 feet above existing grade. The issue we have is the back property from the south corner to the northern property line is essentially a ski slope of about 25 feet of grade.
I don't think we have enough information to make a decision on this. I think we need sections and elevations.
But for the clearing, Betsy, you can see right here on the survey, the person that David just told us about, Mark Abramson, has already confirmed this clearing. So it seems that was happened already. But I agree with you, Peter. We need something that we can see, because it's I can't visualize it.
I can't visualize it with just these plans.
No, I can't.
Yeah. I agree.
Right. So Mr. Miller, is it possible for you to give us a computer-generated design of what this is actually going to look like?
Two-dimensional kind of elevation graph?
Yes.
And then I can also include on there elevations from grade.
Yeah, that would be so helpful.
Yes.
Right. But in the meantime, before we lose you, David, can I ask you, what's the maximum height that we can approve on any wall in that back area?
8 feet.
8 feet. So you need to understand that, Mr. Miller, that we can't approve anything above 8 feet. So that area where you're at 9 is going to have to be reduced by a foot. And David, do you have anything on that pool for us yet?
No.
Okay. So what we can do is this. Let's table this,
Yeah.
Diane. Okay. And Mr. Miller will, in the meantime, when David can get back to Derek about my question with regards to the pool, if you do need ARB approval because it's above grade, then you could add that to, you can do a modification to your application for the wall, and we can put it all together. And then you can come back to us when you have some renderings that we could get a better visual of what this is actually going to look like. Okay?
Okay, excellent. I appreciate it. Yeah, and just so you know, the pool will be slightly above grade in spots, but the idea is after the wall is built, we're going to bring in fill so that we're going to bring the grade up so that the pool is level with the post-construction grade.
Mm-hmm. In all areas of the pool or just in some?
No, in the back corner where the patio is, that's all, the grade will be brought up so that we can landscape, and it's a smooth transition from pool to landscape and then pool to lawn.
All right, so David, you understand that, right?
Yes, Chair.
When you look into it. Okay, great. And then also, are you planning to do anything with the exterior surface of the concrete, or is it just going to be concrete gray?
It was just going to be rough concrete, post removing the forms, similar to a foundation finish.
Right. Okay. And is any of this going to be visible from the neighbor's property?
The neighbor next to it, yes, we'll see it. We currently have landscaping between the two properties that would camouflage it slightly at the current moment. The trees are growing. In probably 2 to 3 years, we hope to screen out the entire back property.
All right. Well, we're going to have to see what that looks like when you present the renderings. Okay. All right. So we'll table this until you're ready, and just make sure that you, whenever you would like to be put back on the schedule, that you contact Derek as soon as possible so you could get the information to him in time for whatever meeting would be appropriate for when you have the work done. Okay?
Perfect. I appreciate it. And just to confirm, you said 8 feet is the max I can go above existing grade?
Right. That we can approve. That it's not that, you can go up to 6 feet without of our approval, but anything above 6, no higher than 8 needs ARB approval.
Okay,
So
basically
we would not be able to approve anything above 8 feet, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So that's all right. Next on the fences, walls, and berms is Richard Stafney, tax map number 300-39-8-271039 Springs Fireplace Road in Springs, and that's Chip.
Mike, is there anyone on the phone?
Yes, there is a phone caller. If you'd like, I can see if this pertains to this.
Sure.
I'll unmute that caller right now.
Right. It might be Mark Catalano.
This is actually Chris and John Simpson.
Oh, you're next, Chris. Not this one.
We are. Okay, I'll hold on.
Okay, so back to 1039 Springs Fireplace Road. The applicant's requesting approval of long existing driveway gates and stockade fencing which surrounds the house on both sides as well as all across the back. The applicant states that the fencing is for privacy, keeping deer out, and it serves as a pool enclosure. This is a contemporary house on about half an acre with extensive landscaping. I find many issues with this property. This gate is just 15 feet off Springs Fireplace Road. And for me to pull my car into this driveway and open the gate, the back of my car was sticking out into Springs Fireplace Road. The right-of-way, the gate may not be on their property. It may be on the right-of-way. The survey is an old one from 2001, and the gate is not indicated on the survey at all. It's a manual gate, and it's a very dangerous situation. The gate is also solid with vertical planks. It's 6 feet high and 14 feet wide. The posts are 6 feet 9 inches high with 7-inch lights on top of them. The applicant states he is willing to cut the posts down to 6 feet. Lights also need to be removed. The gate needs to be made more transparent and moved back at least 20 feet off the roadway and not in the right-of-way in my mind. The second issue with this property is extensive stockade fencing that's extraordinarily high. On the right side of the front yard, the stockade fencing is 8 feet 8 inches, 8 feet 2 inches, and 7 feet 8 inches in different spots. The wooden posts that support it are as high as 8 feet 6 inches in certain spots. On the left side of the front property, there's a stockade fence covered with ivy. That stockade fence is 7 feet 8 inches. Stockade fencing encloses the entire backyard, and in different places it's 7 feet 9 inches and 7 feet 6 inches. Fencing is deep in the shrubs, and often you cannot even see it. There's no fencing in front of the house. There's a privet hedge along the road. That's it.
Excuse me, Chair, if I may. I believe we have the applicant on the line.
Okay.
I'll unmute that right now.
I'm sorry,
hi,
say
Mark
that again,
Catalano
please.
here.
Hey, Mark, it's Chip Ray. I just went over my inspection of the property. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I'll turn it over to you for a second to sort of bring us up to date on what you and the applicant are thinking.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get a certificate of occupancy for the house. All this stuff has been up for about 10 years. We understand it's quite high. The neighbors do like it, for various reasons. He's willing to do, abide by whatever the board recommends. He's trying to reduce what work he has to do on this, because these are tall fences. The one with the ivy on it, especially, if that could be maintained, that would certainly, it's a nice looking wall. I mean, it almost looks like a hedge, so that might mitigate that to some extent. I think the fencing around the rear, especially, which is the pool fencing, where the property does raise up into the neighbor's property in the back, if he could maintain at least that part of it, which I think is good, affords a lot of privacy, that would be very helpful, and I think the neighbors also would like that as well. I understand the gate is in a bad spot in the front. There's a deer problem there, so I'm not quite sure how he would, change that. I mean, moving it back would have to be a whole different configuration. But I'm sure, we'll have to work out something.
It's just extremely dangerous. It's not, the survey is so old that this gate is not on the survey, and I kind of have come to believe the gate actually sits in the right-of-way, which is illegal. So there's so many problems with this property. I understand that it's nicely landscaped and it's got, an ivy-covered fence, but it's all stuff that we can't approve. So where do you want to start on this?
Well, I mean, if anything could be approved, I think if we could retain what's in the back, but it acts as the pool fence and privacy, I think that would be the top priority here. And if the next in line would be the ivy covered fence. Yep.
Excuse me, can we see the survey, please? Derek. Can you blow that up a little bit?
Yeah, so
Chip, can you take us through the fencing in the back based on the survey?
yeah, as soon as it comes up.
Yeah, I can't see it. It disappeared.
Okay, so the entire property is encased with stockade fencing except for the front along Springs Fireplace Road. So the 211 feet back on the right-hand side, the 100 feet across the back, and then the 196 on the left-hand side facing the house. There's slight changes in elevation here, and there's extensive shrubbery, but behind the house, that stockade fencing varies between 7 feet 9 inches and 7 feet 6 inches.
I'm having such a difficult time participating with this because I can't hear what anybody is saying. I don't know what to do.
Where is the ivy covered fence?
It's on the left hand, it's on the bottom of the survey, and it goes from the road to the front facade of the house where it says 196.82 inches. It's that side up to the front of the house.
This
It's very
just
attractive.
shows,
You see the fence, the ivy has become, extremely voluptuous, but the fence is too high for the front of the house. That's the problem.
don't we need an updated survey that accurately shows where the fencing and the gates are?
Yeah, well, certainly on the gates we do, but the gates have to be moved back. And I can't even tell if the fencing's on this survey. I can't tell.
It shows,
Yeah.
Wood fence right here.
Yeah, stockade fence, yeah. I mean, how high in the back can stockade fence be?
Excuse me, Betsy, I can see that you've called in. Can you hear everyone okay?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
And we can see you.
Okay. I unmuted it, but it's on my computer, but it's still coming through. How do I make that stop?
That's the audio on your computer. Just turn the speakers off. However, you can turn the speakers on your own computer or turn them off.
Oh, I see. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
All right, how's that?
Sounds great.
Better.
I'm back.
Deal with it behind the house first. I mean, it's 7, 9, and 7, 6. It's stockade fencing.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, Chip? I need to get caught back up.
Okay, so we're looking at the fencing behind the house, which is where the pool is. That fencing is stockade. It's in some places it's 7 feet 9 inches, in other places it's 7 feet 6 inches.
Okay, so it's all under 8 feet.
So the back of the house is probably not such an issue. It's when you get to the front of the house and the gates where we have the issue.
Right. So let me ask this before we get into the gates. I want to just get all, for Mark's standpoint, because he was saying, what can we do? Is there any fencing along the north side of the property from the driveway area? It says wood fence. What's the height of all of that?
What's the height of that?
Yeah.
It's 8 feet 8 inches, 8 feet 2 inches, 7 feet 8 inches.
in the front of the house that goes along the
No,
side of
there's
the
no
property?
fencing, Betsy, in front of the house. Well, you see where it says 211 feet, 0.81 inches on the top right of the properties? That
Yeah.
whole side of the house, the fencing exceeds, mostly it's 8 feet 8 feet 2, 7 feet 8. And the posts that are on are 8 feet 6 inches.
David,
Peter
by
or David?
definition, isn't this a yard facing a street?
Yes, that's what I was
Yes.
going to say. So that whole area in front of the house where there's 8-foot fencing along that property line, the lot number 756, that can't be over 6 feet.
Right. Now, what about on the south side?
On the south side, it's ivy covered. It's that pretty ivy covered, and that's 7 feet 8 inches.
Is that not also the same issue of a yard facing a street and cannot be over 6 feet?
Yes.
Yard facing the street in front of the house.
Right.
And what about the front, right, on Springs Fireplace Road?
That's a
How high
privet
is
hedge.
that fence?
That's a privet hedge, Peter, and I can't see any fence in it unless there's a deer fence in it, but it's a tall privet hedge.
Okay. So at least the sides from the front of the house to the street need to be reduced to 6 feet.
Correct. And then I think on the gate, we're going to need an updated survey because the gate, the gate's not on the survey, and I believe the gate's in the right of way. But the gate's going to have to be pushed back probably another 5 or 10 feet because it's so dangerous.
Yeah, I think the hedge runs into the right of way.
I don't understand. Is this where there's 2 gates?
No, that's the next one, Betsy. This is a separate one.
Okay. So this is just one gate that needs to be moved back. The other thing is the gate is so solid
Yes.
that if they're going to move that back, they may have to come back to us with some kind of alterations to these panels.
Yeah, so I think, you know, Mark, the fencing in front of the house has to be cut down to 6 feet, even on the ivy side. And then you're going to have to come back to us with a plan and an accurate survey to move this gate back and open it up so it's not so dense and just planking that you can't see through.
Yeah.
And then it's not 6 feet, you know, I mean, this is
The gate's
you know,
6 feet.
the area. Not unless you move that back quite far.
Right. So if I just have it, just so I can know where we're going with this. So I guess the request would be ideally then to, on both north and south sides in the front, to allow that to be 6 feet, move the gate back in a configuration and a style that would be appropriate, and if possible, leave the fencing behind, in the back at its current height, which is all under 8 feet.
Right.
That's
so
right.
What we can do is so we can table this, and you can come back to us with a modification to your application with the changes to front fencing as well as moving the gate and changes that would be more appropriate in size and opacity.
Okay, and by then we'll have a new survey, so it'll make more sense.
All right, great.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Okay,
so you're
good.
clear on what we're doing. Great. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
so
very much.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, Chris and John Simpson, tax map 200-24-3-22 91 Hog Creek Lane in East Hampton. And I believe, was someone on the line?
Yes, I
Yeah,
can unmute that.
Chris and John are on the line, or should be on the line.
I will open that up right now. Just a moment, please.
Thank you.
Yes, we're here.
We're here.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so-
Hi, welcome. So, Chip, if you could read into the record what your application is for.
Sure. So the applicant seeks permission to install a pair of 6-foot-high driveway gates across the front of a 100-foot wide property. And you can see that on the survey. The gates would be about 15 feet wide each, so there'd be a pair of them. So that's 30 feet of gates. So that's 30% of the road frontage of the front of the property, since it's 100 feet. This is a larger, newer home in Clearwater Beach on a street of smaller traditional homes. The property is just under half an acre. The front yard is mostly a gravel courtyard. The gates are requested for privacy, safety, and to keep the deer out. Chris and John, do you want to talk about your project?
Yeah, thank you for that, Chip. You know, really the Hog Creek Lane, as I'm sure you're all familiar with, it's a very busy street, and cars, you know, tend to go up and down very fast. So really, first and foremost, safety for grandkids, dogs, etc. But also, as Chip said, for deer, and we would put in then just the deer wire fencing around the sides of the property. And then also for privacy, again, given that it is a busy road.
Let me understand this, please. On the survey that I'm looking at, you're planning to put these gates in the right-of-way? Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think they understood that that was the right-of-way, Betsy. I was going to get to that. The gates appear to be in the right-of-way, and this is a street where there are almost no gates on this street at all, and there's very few gates in the neighborhood. So Chris and John, the gates have to be on your property. They can't be in this right-of-way, so they'd have to go even further back. And as I mentioned yesterday, I think 6-foot gates are extraordinarily high for this location. I urged you yesterday to think about 4-foot gates, which you could put up on your property without coming before us at all.
Now, when you say, so the what we're recommending now is to put the gates 20 feet off of the pavement. Is that not?
It has to be on your property.
Yeah, it's not your property, Chris. You have to be behind the second line, which is where the 100 feet is, and that line. You have to be behind that line.
So give us a sense for how far off of, let's say, our apron, which meets the street. How far would we have to be back from our apron back for the gate?
You have to be on your property.
John, the survey you have doesn't tell us how wide the right-of-way is, so you need to have this survey corrected. Where you wrote in 20 feet off edge of pavement, I don't know what that width of that area is. It could be 20 feet, it could be 10 feet, but the surveyor is going to have to give you a dimension on the width of that section. And you have to be beyond it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I think gates are going to essentially be in your driveway.
Yeah, I mean, what we thought we were proposing is putting gates on our property because it was so far back, but okay.
I mean, the gates would be further enough back that would be no, we heard earlier about you pulling into a property on Springs Fireplace Road and your car not being fully into the driveway. This would not be the case with our gates.
John, it doesn't matter. The gates have to be on your property. My guess is that's the back of my car, and somewhere around the middle of my car is where your property actually starts. Everything in front of the back is not your property. It's the town's property.
And how much you know how much property the town actually owns from the street?
Your surveyor needs to tell you that. He needs to correct the survey.
Okay.
It varies on every road.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right, so
Well,
we'll
why don't we do this, Chip? Why don't we table this and we'll ask
Yeah.
Chris and John to get an updated survey so they know where their property is. If they decide that they want to put a 4-foot gate in, you don't have to come back to us for that. Anything above that you do, but please keep in mind that we're going to be very reluctant to approve anything, you know, much higher than the 4 feet. Because it's so close to the roadway. So if you want to just, you know, come back to us with a plan, we'll be very happy to entertain it.
All right.
okay, we will get that information and give it some thought and come back.
Great. Thank
Okay,
you
good.
so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice day. Okay, Randy Feldman, tax map number 300-151-1-7.24, 69 Scrimshaw Lane in Amagansett. Michael, I believe Randy's on the line.
Randy is on
Yes.
the Zoom link.
Good afternoon.
She's
Hello.
available.
Hi.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
Okay, Diane, can you read into the record what the application is for and give us a little background, please?
Yes, the application is for privacy and deer exclusion. It is for a clear cedar gate. It says it clear as day here. 6 foot from finished grade, a 14-foot wide gate. And then there is a color BM 2121-10 gray. Now this is a modification. This came before us, I believe it was just the last meeting, but it had come before us more than a year ago, and Esperanza was on this case. And I had a conversation with Randy Feldman yesterday at the property where she explained circumstances to me that that I thought we should consider, but in exchanging that information, Esperanza says this is not what she remembers at all. And she remembers clearly that Randy Feldman appeared before us with Michael Marin, and that the drawing and what we approved was in fact what she wanted at the time. What she has built is a very different gate. It has almost no opening whatsoever. It is essentially a wall, and it is 40 feet from the road. It is also an area where there are very few gates. It is now painted dark gray. I have some photographs, Derek, that show the gate and the house and the intentions. So there is the house, and the intention of this gate that exists now is in keeping with the mood of the house. Could we see some more pictures? Okay, well, this is the edge of the gate. The gate is open here, and you can see that the colors tie in. And there is the gate in its open state, but in its closed state, it virtually looks the same. It's very industrial. It's very wall-like. It's very dark. There is supposedly, Randy said she was going to submit the landscaping plan, which is quite extensive, but the last I heard, Derek had not received it.
No, I submitted everything this morning.
Is
I
there
emailed
any,
Derek.
rendering?
I emailed the
Is there
plan. I can
rendering?
email it again. Sorry.
Is there a rendering of what we approved?
There's the
in
plan.
file there?
There's the landscaping plan. So the intention is to green out basically the between the road and the gate, so that the gate would be ensconced in greenery primarily, although it's boxwood. 30-inch boxwood is not exactly.
No, there's 6 and 8 foot ilex on either side and 10-foot ilex.
Yes, next to the gate, it's true.
Right, right. So there'll be a hedge, a green hedge on either side, and I'm backing out the columns, so it'll all be green.
And also right now, the fencing that faces Scrimshaw Lane is a good 8 feet, but she has said that she's very willing to take the.
That was just an error. That was just an oversight, quite frankly. I didn't even realize.
Well, at any rate, you've said you are willing to cut that down to 6 feet, which is absolutely necessary.
Of course.
It's the essence and the question of this gate.
Diane, we're not ready to approve those 6-foot gates. I mean, those fences. Were they originally approved with the fencing in the front part of the, yes, it is.
I wasn't suggesting that we were ready to approve it. I was just saying that she understands that the 8-foot fencing facing Scrimshaw Lane is absolutely impossible, and she's willing to make that change. But she's unwilling to change her gate.
Diane, the resolution says that there was an approval for the 6-foot deer fencing in the front. That was my point. Okay. So she already has approval for the 6, so she can cut that down. Is there a rendering of what we originally approved for the gate in the file?
I don't think so. I don't think we have a rendering.
When you went out last meeting to do, I believe it was for the C of O, and you realized that the gate didn't match what was built, is that...
No, it doesn't match the resolution at all.
Yeah.
Derek, is there a rendering of what was originally approved?
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm trying to find it right now. Okay. I'm just going in the folders.
Great.
And I think Esperanza has a very solid recollection of.
Yeah, and I'm also referring to my notes from last year, because this came before us 2, if not 3 times. And, you know, in my notes, unfortunately, I wasn't as detailed, but I did make note of the fact that in the original proposal, there were 1/2-inch spaces between the slats, and we were rejecting that, you know, and we kept encouraging the applicant to come back with a new design. And at that point, it was with Michael Marin, which was then Michael came before us with Randy. So I would love to see, because I don't recall that, and I don't have that in front of me, the original or the design that we then approved.
But the resolution is very specific.
It is.
Based on that drawing, it's very specific. A clear red cedar sliding driveway gate.
This was a long discussion about this particular neighborhood not having driveway gates of this size and look, and that it would appear to be a wall. And so we were encouraging at every meeting that it be more open and less monumental. And that was the resolution that I believe we came to, and we got the opposite.
Yes, but what we allowed was for each board to be 8 and 11/16 inches with an inch gap in between each.
Yeah,
I mean,
but they're not even an inch.
No, it's not an inch. It's sometimes it's 1/4 of an inch, sometimes it's 1/3 of an inch. I mean, it appears as a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Although Randy did take some pictures with the twilight shining through, and you know, there is some light that does penetrate the gate. But
may I speak?
Sure.
So yes, Esperanza, I recall speaking with you, and I was at the meeting, and so here's my story. And Derek has some photos and obviously the landscape plan. So a year ago, I hired a company called Automated Access. And I told that person what I was looking for, and we designed a gate. And I didn't provide that today, but I can show you that with all the dates and whatever. And we designed this gate that was 6 foot from grade total height with 9-inch horizontal boards and 1/2-inch spacing. And the material was clear red cedar, and it was to be painted a Benjamin Moore dark gray color to match the front of my house, which you could see on some of the pictures. And my house has an industrial feel, and that was kind of what I wanted. My house is, I call it a backwards house, because when you come down the driveway, the first thing that you see is, and I think Diane might have taken a picture, but the first thing you see is my lawn and my pool. And that's where we live, essentially. And so when you come down the driveway, so to the right there's not a clear, you can see part of the patio and the pool is there. So you come down the driveway, the first thing you see is, people living. And so I was looking for privacy and also the industrial feel. So in any event, I hired one company to do my driveway gate, and I didn't even know I needed a permit. Michael Marin, I met Michael Marin, East Hampton Fence and Gate. I hired him to do my deer fencing. And he said, you need a permit for your driveway gate. I said, I didn't know. He said, well, I'm going to go to the ARB for your deer fencing. And I know the guy who's doing your gate. It's no problem for me. I can just fold it all together, and I will do the permitting for your gate too. So I said, great. And I've been trying to act as my own GC this whole time. So I said, great. And I didn't realize, honestly, that I know we walked out of there with an approval a year ago, September 2019. I know we had extensive conversation, Esperanza. You're not misremembering. But I think I didn't really, I don't know if I was asleep. I think I was perhaps intimidated. And Michael said, I've been doing this for 30 years. Let me handle it. I didn't honestly realize that what we left with was approval for narrower boards and bigger spacing. And I went back and I told my guy to build what I thought I was allowed to build, quite frankly. And it's not that different. I measured the spaces. The spaces are all 1/2 inches. They don't vary. So they're 1/2 inch difference, and the boards are 15/16 of an inch wider. The total height from grade is 6 feet, which you approved. The setback is 43 feet from the pavement. I'm going to completely green in everything. It's going to be beautiful. It's in keeping with the aesthetic of my house. It's painted to match my house. I'm at the end of a cul-de-sac. There's 2 or 3 other gates on my street that are more open. And I mean, I know my neighbors, concealed gates like this are not going up. I don't know what to do because I've been losing sleep over this because I paid a lot of money for this. My intention was not to, do anything other than what I was approved for. And I honestly didn't understand it. I had 2 different chefs in the kitchen and I didn't really understand. So what else can I tell you? I'm just checking my notes. We'd like you to look at the pictures, Derek, if you show them the pictures that.
Esperanza, can I ask you a question? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. On the resolution, it says red cedar sliding driveway gate. Do you recall this color being approved because there was a stain color on that one rendering that Derek just put up before? Do you recall?
Well, I'm going by what the resolution says, and if it says red cedar, then that's what we approved. And I don't recall anything gray.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, may I speak?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So I didn't fill out that application, and honestly, I don't think I paid close enough attention because I really deferred to Michael. And but I will show you the original contract I had with the guy who was building my gate. My gate was always, to me, I mean, Michael didn't put it on the application, and I never even saw the approved application. I never even saw I didn't see the application he submitted, and I didn't see the approval. He just told me. I mean, we walked out that day and, you know, I was happy because we were approved, not really understanding what I was approved for, but I can show you the original contract I had with Automated Access. It was always a dark gray gate, and I apologize. My intention certainly was not to deceive anybody. I mean, I put a lot of thought and a lot of time and energy and money into this. I wasn't looking for trouble, quite frankly.
Right, and we're not trying to make you suffer, believe me. Peter, what's your take on this?
Well, I mean, this is a solid wall on it. I mean, yeah, they're 1 inch gaps, or, you know.
They're not even a quarter inch. I measured them, Diane measured them. They're not even a quarter inch.
I mean, if this were submitted to us as an application, we would not approve this.
Right, we would not.
So the question is, how do we create something that we would approve? All right. And the only thing I could see without rebuilding it entirely is take every other board out.
Oh my God.
Make it more open as far as the color. Right?
Or reduce the height.
Or
Instead of
both.
taking every other board out.
It's a couple of inches over 6 feet.
Well, no, it's going to be 6 feet from finished grade. The grade's not finished.
I measured it. It's 6'2" from grade, right?
Yeah, I measured it as well, Diane. It's 76 inches, which is exactly that. Yeah.
I mean, I measured 73.5 inches from grade, and the grade isn't finished. The driveway is being redone. It will be 6 feet from finished grade.
Well, it's 6 feet from existing grade.
But I'm redoing the driveway. I mean, it will be it will be, I mean, I'm putting on oil and stone. They have to put it over that. I mean, it's going to be finished grade. I don't know what you're saying.
I said existing grade, not finished grade, existing grade.
So what does that mean?
That
what it is now.
From the existing grade.
That can be changed.
Pardon me?
But that can be changed.
Well, you can't change existing grade.
Well,
see that, yes, well, the reality is that once she puts her oil and stone down, it will come up higher. Here's the thing, Randy.
Okay, I mean, a couple of inches.
Yeah, it's going to come up to 72 inches, exactly. I mean, we had to, yes, that's why in fact, we lowered it a little bit so that we could make it to 72 finished grade.
Are the posts on either side, right, over 6 feet? The fencing?
No, they're flush.
No, they're flush.
I mean, I'm freaking out here because how can everything is wired and it's all connected. I mean, please don't make me change this gate.
Well, if you had followed the application, followed the approval, you wouldn't have this problem.
I understand, but I was naive and stupid, quite frankly. I didn't understand, and I wasn't.
Okay, so whose fault is that?
I understand that. Please, this gate was $40,000, and please don't do that.
I'm in a
I have every sympathy for the amount of money and effort that you've put into this, and unfortunately, you had middlemen that probably didn't make things easier. However, I mean, you were at that meeting and we had an extensive conversation about this, and I had a conversation with you at the property. And so I feel as if, we're being blindsided here with something that.
No, I understand the optics. I do. I understand it. But I walked out of there honestly thinking I got approved for what the design was. I didn't understand that Michael drew a new design and changed the dimensions. I just didn't understand that, and I trusted him.
Did East Hampton Fence not build this? I'm sorry, did East Hampton Fence build this in the end?
No, I hired somebody. I didn't even.
Because, I mean, frankly, as I said, I measured the gaps in between and they're not even consistent. So they really did a lousy job. And I'm not sure, you know, I thought it was East Hampton Fence, but it's not. I'm upset because from the beginning, we insisted that there be larger gaps, and these gaps are not even a 1/4 inch. And we were asking for an inch. You know, the color is almost of less consequence to me because I think possibly we would all be okay with it, but it's just such a large wall, Randy. And I'm sorry, I feel like we went over and over this so many times that I'm just surprised that you're coming back to us with a plea, you know, a plea.
I submitted my paperwork for the C of O, and when I got the rejection, I was like, what is going on? I had no idea.
Well,
Randy, you have to be a little bit smarter about this than you're appearing to be. I find it a little bit a lack of credibility.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry you feel that way, honestly.
I think there's so many questionable things, you know. I mean, why would Michael Marin put this 8-foot deer fence facing Scrimshaw Avenue? Why would he do it when he knows it would never be allowed?
I don't know. And I called him the other day and I said, Michael, that fence has to come down. And he said, it's 6 feet. I said, it's not. I just went out there and measured it.
It is nothing, nowhere near 6 feet.
No, it's 8 feet. It needs to come down.
Good 8 feet.
I understand that.
But the fact that it's very, very.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Diane. And again, Randy, I had conversations with you about the deer fencing. We walked the property. We went into the back. You know, it was all agreed that the back. I think you have 8 feet in the back. You know, we talked about all of this, and it was agreed that the 8-foot deer fencing in the front had to come down, and then the whole driveway gate issue was discussed and agreed upon. And when I saw this come before us again, I was amazed at what came in. And I asked Diane if I could come and see it as well, and I did. And it's very disappointing because we really were asking for something that would be much more harmonious with this neighborhood. And it's harmonious with your house, perhaps, but it's really just a big gray wall.
But it is set back 43 feet. It's not obtrusive on the street. It's not offensive or obtrusive. And I show you the picture at night. I mean, I don't know. Went out there and measured all the spaces myself. I measure 1/2 inch. I don't measure 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch. I measure 1/2 inch.
I took a picture of it with a measuring. You can see that they're irregular.
They're irregular and they're not even 1/4 inch.
Well, like you said, I didn't get good construction if that's the case. But I mean, I took a picture at night. You can see the light through it. I took a picture at day. You see daylight through it. I'm going to have extensive landscaping. I mean, I don't think it's offensive. I think it's modern. I think it's nice looking. I personally like it. And honestly, I don't want to be here either. It was not my intention. I thought we were finished. I've had a lot of problems with Michael, and I just trusted him. What can I tell you? I don't know how.
Well, you didn't trust him enough to build your fence.
Yeah.
I didn't know him. I met him after the fact, and quite frankly, I drove and I saw a gate on. That's absolutely not true because I wanted him. I said, I wish that he would have built my gate. I wish that I would have met him because I saw the workmanship that he does and it's quite beautiful. And it would have been easier for me because then I would have had one person drawing permitting and building. So no, I didn't know him until after the fact.
Okay.
I think we need to vote on this.
Is there any other concession that I could please make? Because this is going to be extensive work and costly. Is there any other concession that you could find that I could make for you? Please.
Well, what I would like to say is that the board approved 2 feet over what you're allowed to have based on the code, okay? You could have done a 4-foot gate. You wouldn't have had to come in front of us. They gave you the height based on, and again, I wasn't at this meeting, so I don't know. I'm just, trying to guide the board as well as you. They're based on what Esperanza said and Diane, that, it was important that this had more opening. Had I been there, I would have asked for more than an inch. I think it's your responsibility to come back to the board with a solution on how we can either open this gate up or shorten it so that it doesn't look like a 6-foot dark gray wall. My understanding is that there was never in the resolution the color. It just said a cedar gate. Cedar, natural wood gates recess into the landscape better than a dark gray painted gate. The 6-foot deer fencing, you realize. So I think, we could go back and forth. And what I could do, if you would like, we can poll the board and see if there's a majority who will approve this. Would you like us to do that?
I mean, I know what's going to happen. Nobody is happy with this.
Well, why don't we do this? I'm gonna start with.
I would like to just point out, and it was, I'm happy to show you. I don't know that it matters to you, but the contract that I signed, which was probably in 2018 to initially with automated access, was for the dark gray color because it matches my house. I have no clear cedar anywhere on my property. So I think Michael just did
ineptitude.
What?
I mean, it's just pure ineptitude. I mean, the communication between you, Michael Marin, it's started
wait.
that he would give you such bad advice.
Excuse me, please. This was obviously your appointed assignment. Do you recall that this gate was going to be gray based on that meeting or your notes?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to poll the board. Peter, would you approve this gate at 6 feet as is?
No.
Diane?
I feel for Randy. And I actually, aesthetically, it does go with the house, but I don't think we can approve this, no.
Okay, Esperanza?
No.
Chip?
No.
Okay. So there's 4 out of the 5 board members, and regardless of whether I would or wouldn't, they're the majority will. And it's up to you to come back to us with some type of solution that satisfies the board to either reduce this in height or open it up more. And we'll be happy to, entertain a suggestion from you. But at this point, the board's not going to approve the gate. And in the meantime, while you're working on that, you can have somebody come in and bring the 8-foot fencing in the front down to 6. Okay? So I'm going to table it and we'll move on. Thanks, Randy.
Sorry, but I had a feeling.
I'm sorry, what, Diane?
I said, I'm sorry for her inconvenience and her expense, but.
Well, maybe there will be a solution to do something that isn't going to, ruin the aesthetics of what she's trying to appease, but also, keep in mind that it's not what was approved and that the board feels it's too big, it's too solid, and it's dark gray. And if there's anything that she could do to mitigate any of those or one of them or something, I think the board would be, interested and happy to take a look at it.
Yeah.
All right. So
I think
I'm going to move on. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Diane.
Yes.
Well, I think Peter's suggestion, because the framework, and that's what costs so much, I would imagine. So I think just removing every other slat would probably be an alternative that we would accept.
Possibly they could be replaced with something slimmer. I don't know, but yeah, there must be a creative way to deal with it.
Okay. So that's up to Randy to come back and give us what she would like to do based on the feedback from the board. Okay, so for certificate of occupancy, John and Rena Hahn, tax map number 300-196-1-8.2, 14 Sayers Path, Wayne Scott Chip.
So we're revisiting a property that was recently in front of us for a C of O. The issue was that there is an extensive horizontal planked fence. The first picture you saw was the fence they built on their side of the property, and we requested that they build a similar planked fence on the neighbor's side of the property. They have exquisitely installed what we asked for. To me, it was a win-win for everyone, and I believe this is now ready for a C of O.
Great.
Okay, can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Yes. Aye.
All in favor? Peter?
Aye.
Okay, and Diane?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay. So, I'm sorry, Chip, did you say that you instructed staff?
Yes, so I believe the property is now in compliance and ready for a C of O. I instruct staff to notify the building department of the same.
Great, thank you. Leonard Nathanson, tax map number 300-55-9-109 North Hollow Drive in East Hampton, Esperanza.
So I have revisited this property, and I've found that the approved resolution for a 6-foot gate, which the design substantially conforms to the designs approved. However, at the highest point, this gate is 6 feet 7 inches. The columns with the caps are at 76 inches. And the deer fencing on to the left of here, you see there's deer fencing past the pedestrian gate that is at 6 feet. However, the pedestrian gate itself is at 6 feet 5 inches. So I'd say this is not conforming to the resolution and is not ready for a CO.
I think they need to take it down.
It's a big gate.
Well, if they lopped off that top work on the top, it would probably get down to about 6 feet.
It's a metal gate is the issue, so I don't know what.
They have to cut it with a metal saw, yeah.
And if the caps were taken off the columns, then that would solve that.
What's the height of the columns?
The columns are 76 inches approximately from the grade.
Including the cap.
Including the cap.
Does that include the cap?
Yes. I mean, that's as well as I could measure it, from my 5 feet 5 inch height.
Right. Do you think there's any room to lower that gate?
I think there is underneath, probably. Yeah, a little bit. I'm not sure if it clears the building block. Not sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's table this and we'll let the applicant know that the gate and the fencing and the pedestrian gate and the caps are higher than what were approved, and they'll have to come back to us either to, discuss how they're going to bring this into compliance based on, either removing the caps or dropping the gate down and shortening up the pedestrian gate. Okay, David Rogel, tax map number 300-166-4-7, 44 Springs Close Highway, East Hampton, Esperanza.
Okay. So this is, again, a property that I have revisited. And the applicant has been, complied with a 5 foot high clear cedar driveway gate and posts, as you see in the picture. And everything checks out. I have asked the applicant to call in, hopefully he has, because the property, and I've looked back on my notes from past meetings, repeatedly we've asked about fencing that is outside the property line, deer fencing along Spring Close Highway and along the north side of the property, which is to the left of this gate. And then also I asked earlier if he could clarify, because I believe there's fencing, deer fencing that is at or above 6 feet, that is basically yard fronting. It's on the side yard on the south side of the yard on what is called Spring Close Lane, if we look at the survey. So I'm not sure if he's called in. I'm hoping he has, so we could hopefully deal with these issues.
Yes.
If not, it's just, yes, you have him?
Yes, Chair, if I may, yes, the caller's online and I can unmute right now.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, caller, you're live.
Hello?
David?
David?
Hello?
We hear you.
Okay, good.
So, David, I don't know if you're...
David, can you identify yourself, please?
I'm David Rogel.
Great, thank you very much. Esperanza, I just have one question for you. The application and the approval was for the gate, correct? But these were things that you found
correct.
over and above? Okay.
That is correct. And I just have, yeah, I know that I've had this property throughout, and we have in every meeting discussed the different fencing on the property. So I know that in order to close out the certificate of occupancy, we just really need to be able to approve everything, make sure it's all up to code. So if you look at the survey along Spring Close Highway, and there's very just small little minute, fencing issues. But it does go off, apparently. There's a 4-foot, I think it is 4-foot deer fence along Spring Close Highway that goes out of the property line. And then on the north side, which is at the top of the survey, it goes out of the property line. And then my question with David was that the fencing along Spring Close Lane seems to be at or above 6 feet.
It is not above 6 feet.
Okay, it's at 6 feet?
It's under.
It's under 6 feet.
Do you have approval for that 6-foot fencing on Spring Close Lane? Because anything above 4 foot, you would need ARB approval.
All of that fencing was done on the previous application for the house itself. The only thing we have the new thing is only for this driveway gate.
So you had approval for the 6-foot fencing on Spring Close Lane?
Correct, yeah.
From who, though?
I have the previous. I have
one of the board members asked if you had approval from the ARB for this.
On the, is there ARB approval for when we completed the house?
I don't know. That would be up to you to show us that. We just have that we approved the 5-foot gate. Doesn't say anything about fencing.
Right. Most of the fencing along that road is I know is 4 feet, and I know where it goes higher, it's still under 6. But all of that fencing is years old.
Let me ask David, our attorney. can we go ahead and approve the gate, which is what the resolution was for, and when he goes to do his C of O, it's up to the building inspector to call out these other issues?
You can approve the CO for what the application was for and just focus specifically on those items and, you know, not comment on other parts of the property, right? If it's just for the existing fence, yeah, that would be fine.
That hasn't been my experience. I'm sorry.
Okay. Maybe we can table it then.
I don't know. I mean, Peter, is that not, am I not?
I'm sorry, I'm confused with the question. Can they approve the CO just for what they put the application in? Right? Is that if there's other problems on the property, are you okay to approve the CO for the item that was in the application? That's the question?
Right.
Yeah. That was the question.
My understanding is that everything has to be in compliance, and especially if there's anything like any fencing, any issues with fencing, anything higher, even though it doesn't have to do with the application, we need to make sure that everything is in compliance because the fencing is under our purview.
Okay, I maybe misunderstood the question initially. That is correct. Everything does have to be in compliance before the CO is issued. I was thinking just like other code violations and things that are outside of our jurisdiction here on the property that I don't think would have an influence on the CO. But yes, if it's fencing or something that's not in the application, but something we have jurisdiction over, yes, it does have to be in compliance.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Mr. Rogel, there's some 4-foot fencing that needs to be moved onto your property line along Spring Coast Highway. You'll need to come back to us with some type of proof that 6-foot fencing along Spring Coast Lane you have approval from.
Where would I be able to get that from?
I don't know.
The original building department C of O.
Okay.
And was there anything else, Esperanza, besides that Spring Close Lane and the 4-foot off of the property line?
Yeah, just the fencing that is outside the property line along Spring Close Highway, and then also along the neighboring, the property line on the north side, which would be, if you're facing the house, the left side of the house. It appears to be just outside the property line there. It's not, it's not huge. It's just, I'm making sure that you don't have issues, David, in future with this. That's all. And then, yeah, Spring Close Lane.
I know that it is. I know that when we just put in the gate, we moved that fencing over, and whoever moved it, I mean, he snapped lines, and I mean, I think what you're talking about is, I mean, I don't know how someone determines it, but it from on this current survey, I mean, it seems to be very, very fractionally, I mean, under inches over on that side. But my other question is on the original building approval. All the fencing was as is. So why don't understand why it's under question now when it wasn't then.
All we're asking is if you can show us that you had approval from ARB for a fencing facing a front street over 4 feet tall. So if you can go to the building department, they can help you, come up with that paperwork.
Okay, ARB doesn't have the record for that.
Derek, can you answer to that?
Have you ever applied for the approval of that fence?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm talking to David. Have you ever applied for the approval of that fence?
But I don't remember if there was we ever applied for it. But
if you didn't
Right.
apply for it, then there's no approval for it.
Right. So
Right.
basically anything 4 feet and up.
Excuse me, David Rogel, you
yeah,
put up the 6-foot fencing along Spring Close Lane without any approval from ARB, correct? You didn't come before us, fill out an application asking for approval for 6-foot fencing along that roadway, correct?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. I'm sorry, please.
Okay. I am asking you, when you put up that 6-foot deer fencing along Spring Close Lane, did you come before ARB approval before or after you put that fencing up?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, we don't know, and we're going to assume that you don't have approval for it. So you're going to need to come back to us to get approval on that fencing, as well as get anything else that's off your property on your property line. On the north side, if David, Derek, if you can bring up the survey again, please. On the north side, it looks like there's some fencing that's off your property. Is that your fencing or your neighbor's fencing? To the north of your gate.
Then that to the north of our gate is ours.
Okay, and what's the height of that?
I believe that's 4.
4 feet. Okay, that needs to be moved onto your property line as well as where you have a little bit coming off. The 6-foot fencing, you'll need to come back before us to get approval for. Peter or David.
It's very hard for me. I don't know how to give the directive to the person that's doing this to tell them where to move it to. That's my issue.
Well, you can see
I had
on
the
your
fence
survey.
person. I had the fence person come and they moved it. They moved it and they said they checked the stone monuments. They snapped the line and we paid and they moved it closer. I don't know how to.
Okay,
tell them.
so when was that? Was that after this last survey?
That was just recently when we just did the driveway gate.
Okay,
so you need an updated survey.
On this survey?
No, so this survey is
before or after they moved it?
No, I believe after it was moved, I think that it was resurveyed, but I know that I see that it's showing that it may fall out of it, but I know that it was contracted to move it within.
Right, but so do you have a new survey showing after they moved it?
This is what you're looking at is the newest survey.
okay.
No,
So
then they didn't move it on your property.
no, and the fact is that we had this before us, and it's been in the same place every time. And we brought this up with your gate manufacturer, and obviously it didn't get back to you, or maybe it did, or they just didn't know where to move it exactly. But you would need to have it resurveyed first, maybe, and then they would know where to move the fencing so that it's within the property limit. And then then you're good.
Right. Okay. Just so you know, that is exactly what happened. The gate manufacturer came to us and said that your fence needs to be moved. So we came, as David just, sorry, this is Ron Carlovati. I'm also the owner of the house. We paid someone to come measure, as David said. He moved it all. And then as we had the resurvey done as the gate manufacturer asked us to do. And I see those few little X's that there's that one little spot sort of closest to Spring Close Lane where there's those few little X's where I think it's a few inches off. So we just weren't sure that, yes, we can pay somebody to move it again. It is just, it's a little frustrating, but yes, it was moved to be in compliance and then got surveyed, and SAS just came up with that there was these slight little spots where it was off. So I'm just not sure with you guys, are you saying that we need to move that again?
You'll need to move it, and you'll need to have the survey company update your survey so it shows that all of that fencing is on your property line.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
I mean, you see where, yeah.
And
I'm not sure exactly why, you know, Saskis, like we said, that was measured, it was chalked, it was measured between the two monuments, and the fence was moved. So I'm not exactly sure why Saskis came up with these little spots where it's off.
Well, you'll
I mean, it's honestly inches.
You'll need to talk to your survey people. This is nothing, you know, there's nothing we can do to fix this for you. We're just pointing it out to you that
Right.
the fencing
Right.
should be on your property line. The other thing that Esperanza brought up, over and above the 4-foot fencing off your property, is that you have a 6-foot fencing along Spring Close Lane that shows that it's on your property line, but it's 6 feet. And we were asking,
Right.
if you
Joy,
had
just to be clear, I just went outside and measured it. The majority of it is 4 feet. The closest to Spring Close Highway. It starts at Spring Close Highway. It's 4 feet most of the way down, and then it gets taller, and it becomes. I just measured it. It's like 5. I think that the guy who built it was matching what's directly across Spring Close Lane, so that could be why. Because that's how it is. And I'm not calling out my neighbors. I'm just saying they were matching what was across. They have mostly 4, and then it gets taller as you go down Spring Close Lane.
Well,
so they matched that. We can probably, if it's good. Sure.
May I ask a question? So you're saying that, but is there a neighbor, like, is there a neighbor's fence that is taller? Because I eyeballed that fence that's on Spring Close Lane, and it's definitely more than 4 feet. Close to Spring Close Highway, Spring Close Lane, it's definitely more than 4 feet. So
not on our side. I just went and measured.
That's what I'm asking. Is it a neighbor's fence?
Across the street? No, I'm not sure. I mean, on our side, I know from starting at the corner at Spring Close Lane. It's Spring Close Highway. It's 4 feet. It's the picket fence. It's 4 feet. It goes most of the way down until you get, like, there's a little gate there's a little opening in it for the lawnmower. And at that point, it gets higher. And I just went out and measured it. It is it's under 6. It's under 6. And then that goes to the end of the property, down Spring Close Lane.
It's under 6, but it's over 4.
Right, correct. It's over 4, like, in that second half. You know.
So here's the thing. Please. If it's over 4 feet, you have 1 or 2 things you can do. You can bring it all down 4 feet, and you don't have to come back to it. If you want to keep it that is, you're going to have to come back and get an approval from ARB. So we have documentation that when you go for your certificate of occupancy, you can show that ARB approved that fencing that's over 4 feet. It's up to you how you want to do it.
Okay. Do you, I know this is not necessarily your purview, but do you, like, is it something that would likely get approved? I'm just trying to think what's the best thing for us to do.
I haven't seen it, so I can only ask Esperanza if she thinks that it's something that we would need to get, that he would need to get approval on.
Well, he would need to get approval if it's going to be above 4 feet. I think it would be, probably the board would be fine with it. I can't say. I don't know what everybody would think, but I think it would probably be fine. I'm not sure. I'd have to measure it myself also, because again.
Yes. I mean, look, we could just cut it down shorter, but if it wasn't going to be that hard to get it approved, I would, I guess, prefer to leave it the way that it is.
Well, I would make a recommendation that you figure out with the survey people where the fencing is off your property, regardless of the height, and move it back on. And also, a suggestion, I think it would be easier for you to do, is what type of fencing is Esperanza that's over 4 feet that we're talking about on Spring Close Lane?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What type of fencing is it?
Oh, it's deer fencing.
Okay, so I think that you can.
No, it's picket. It's a picket fence. It's a picket fence on Spring Close Lane. It's a picket fence.
There's also deer fencing, though. No.
I don't think so, but I'm just going out here to confirm that.
That's why I was asking if
I'm
it was
sorry,
your neighbors.
Yeah. No. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm just double checking because. Okay, so where it's 4, oh, I'm sorry. You're correct. So it's picket and then the deer fencing, yes, goes above. You are correct. I apologize.
I thought I was imagining
the deer
things.
fencing only goes. The picket, most of the picket is like 4. Most of the picket is 4. A little bit of it is above 5, but the deer fencing part is only above the 4-foot part, not the part that's higher that goes down most of Spring Close Lane does not have deer fencing over it.
Okay.
There is deer fencing above the 4-foot.
Okay.
About another.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you what to do. Okay. I think that it has been very clear. Anything over 4 feet, it's up to you.
Okay.
You either cut it down to 4. You don't have to come back
Right.
to us. If you want to keep what you have, you need to identify what it is, put it in an application. We'll review it, and then we'll move forward. But today we can approve your 5-foot gate, but we can't recommend a certificate of occupancy until we understand that all this has been, either come before us or that we're just going to put it down to 4 feet. So if you want to tell us today that all of this is going to go down to 4 feet, we could do the approval of the gate with the understanding that all your 4-foot fencing will be on your property, and where it's not 4 feet, it could be cut down. So it's up to you.
I see. I think there's trees that are all grown now, so I don't see why the fence can't just be cut down.
Okay. So
because we have our arborvitae that's much taller, and it sort of creates its own fence.
Okay, so Esperanza, if you would like to make a motion to approve the gate with the understanding that all fencing will be at 4 feet and on the property, I think we could go ahead with that.
Okay, great.
I got to
great. Is that okay? So I make a motion to instruct staff to advise the building department that this property is ready for a certificate of occupancy as regards the 5-foot clear cedar gate, driveway gate, with the understanding that all of the fencing for the property shall be brought within the property line and will be at a height of no higher than 4 feet.
Excellent. Can I get a second on that? Chip?
Yes, second.
Thank you. Peter?
Aye.
And Diane?
Aye.
Aye. And Betsy? Okay, great. All right. Thank you, David. Good luck.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Have we lost Betsy?
Her phone line is still open. She looks like she stepped away from the computer for a moment. I don't know.
Where is she?
Hello, Betsy, are you there?
She's back.
We cannot hear you anymore on your telephone.
Can't hear you.
Betsy?
Is your telephone
Can't see her
still on?
either.
Your line is still open.
Can't hear Betsy.
Betsy, can you try talking? Okay, we don't hear you.
All right, let me unmute. How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
How's that?
It's fine.
Hello?
Your audio is now back through Zoom. You're no longer on the phone.
Right.
We can hear you fine. You can
Right.
continue.
Good. Okay, sorry about that. Peter?
Yes.
Did you read us in, Betsy?
For C of O for AMG, right? The East Hampton Housing Authority, tax map 300-172-2-33.1 at 531 Montauk Highway. I've been out to visit the site, right? And as far as I can tell, right, it complies with the resolution and with the documents that have been submitted. Unless there are any comments, I would like to authorize staff to contact the building department that this project is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, so do I get a second on that, Chip?
Second.
All in favor, Diane?
Yes.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay.
Thank you.
We good? Jane Robertson, tax map number 300-63-2-14.505 Haynes Lane in Springs, Peter.
This is an application for a C of O, right? We have, I visited the site. We reviewed this, right, not the last meeting, I believe the meeting before last. It is fencing around the rear portion of the property. It is in compliance with the resolution and with the survey. Unless there are any comments, I would like to have staff contact the building department to say that this is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
Great. Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor, Chip?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And Betsy? Aye. Okay. 5 Good Friend LLC, tax map number 300-181-4-12. 5 Good Friend Drive in East Hampton, Peter.
This is the application for a certificate of occupancy for a converted warehouse building. I believe it used to be an indoor tennis court. It's now a storage garage for antique automobiles. Unfortunately, there are a number of things that are indicated on the documents that were submitted and approved that have not been done. If you notice in this one, it was indicated that the ventilation duct at the peak of the roof was supposed to have been removed. That has been not removed. The siding on the upper part of the building was originally supposed to be stucco. It is now metal panels. There's another photograph that indicates some additional vents on the side, on the, I guess, west side of the building. You can see them at the eave line that were indicated also to be removed. They have not been removed. I don't have a problem with it, but I believe that the as-built drawings or the drawings that we should have on file should indicate what was actually built. So I believe we need to table this until those drawings are submitted before we can issue a C of O.
Okay. So again, I was having audio issues, so I'm going to just respond.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to respond back to you. Peter, can you hear me?
Barely.
I know this is not a good situation, but I just wanted to repeat back to you that you are tabling this in order for them to give you drawings as what they built versus what was approved.
Correct. Either that,
okay,
or we can approve, right, the C of O with the understanding that they will submit as-built drawings. Whichever.
we can approve the C of O with if they submit new drawings.
Yeah. I
So
don't
you're
know
saying
how anxious they are to get the C of O, right? We can wait for them to submit them and then approve it, or we can approve it with the understanding that they will submit.
Get the drawings first.
Okay.
I think that's up to you, Peter. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think we should wait till we get the drawings. So let's table it.
Okay.
Okay. Then we'll table it. Okay. All right. Before I close the meeting, I just want to apologize to anyone watching, to the town of East Hampton, our board. I apologize for the audio and probably visuals as well that I was suffering through this meeting. So my apologies. And I would like to close the meeting of October 8, 2020, wishing everybody well. Can I get a second on that, Peter?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right. Thank you, board. Again, my apologies. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Bye.